Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here with another Alchemy update. This is definitely the biggest thing to happen to Arena really ever. I mean, some people would say, oh no, Historic was a bigger launch. That was a knee-jerk reaction at the last second to some marketing survey where people said they're mad about losing digital goods that they don't even own in the first place, but paid good money for, and they're just like, oh, in a rotation, they're just like deleting all the stuff I own. So they're like, I don't know, let's make another modern. And then they mismanaged it, and then when it became popular, because literally anything other than standard people were willing to try, then they said, oh, everything's gonna cost 2 wild cards, and we're gonna do all these just grossly overpriced anthologies. Then they're like, instead of adding 25 cards at a time, what if we did 800? And they just went completely off a cliff with like Jumpstart and Jumpstart Historic, and they went from almost nobody playing it to still almost nobody playing it, and then they killed Brawl 2. So that was the last time they added something to Arena. Now they're doing like a clone of Standard, but with everything fixed. And everybody got hyped up for like 6 seconds until they looked at the new cards and the card changes, where they're like, did you not hear us when Mark took those 2 surveys? One on Blogatog, which is like Ass Kisser Mark Fanboy Central, and one on Twitter, which is like the same thing but with like a couple petty snarky people added in. And both polls said that around 80% of people are not happy with the power level of Standard, and it would appear that the majority of people who voted against it said, I don't play Standard, but I like high-powered cards because I play Commander. So yes, keep printing high-powered cards. So if you eliminate them, 100% of people who play Standard are not happy with the power level. They all said they want it to go down. Now this was, a year and a half ago, I think. So I guess they got that message, and what they heard was take all the tier 1 stuff and upgrade it? What you want? You want more power? You want a higher power level? You want to lose the game on turn 4 more often? Okay. You want your, mid-range but powerful, tier 1.5 deck idea that you want to build to be even less realistic and even less reasonable. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Here, have an upgraded version of this. Here, have an upgrade for every existing tier 1 deck that everybody wants banned. So, I mean, it's not just me saying, oh, I want to play lower level, lower powered Magic like it was around Origins and a little bit before. Definitely before Cons. 2 separate time periods there, just saying. And I mean, Cons of Tarkir, 3-color Ugin control. Win with Ugin, everything else was board wipes and counterspells. Move on to Space Egypt. Oh, we had, 2 or 3 color control. Win with the God card. That cannot by any conceivable method be removed from play. The rest of the deck is control. Oh, and in both of those cases, we had Blitz Rush, Blitz Rush. First was Goblin Rush, then was, I don't remember, but some kind of Space Egypt Rush. I remember Chain Whirler being in there. And now we're moving on to now, where post-rotation and post the release of at least Midnight Hunt and definitely got finalized by Crimson Vow, it's hyper-control turns, where they bounce everything back to hand, counter everything, board wipe everything, and then either win with turns or a man land or both. I mean, I've seen variations that don't even bother with turns or spell counts or spell cloning or that isn't crap, and they just win with that 7/7 hexproof giant land, or Crawling Barrens, or Faceless, and then the entire rest of the deck is just control spells. So now your lands are what win. You don't even need to say, oh, only 85% of my deck is control, but I actually have a creature or planeswalker that'll win the game. No, my mana base is going to win the game for me. And Wizards is like, everything's fine. We're not going to ban Alrune's Epiphany. Or Lier, which is the real problem, or that Spell Cloner, which is the real problem, or the entire concept of lesson and learn, which is the real problem. Or I've got Hyper Control Black Planeswalker and maybe splash another color, which just Hyper Control win with 1 card. Or 2 cards, I guess, Liliana and Lulth. And then we got, just Red Rush, Red White Equipment Rush, Rush, Red Winds Rush, White Rush, which how the hell is that even a thing? Luminarch Rush, Counter Rush. So we're back to just, oh, you don't even get to play your deck, or I beat you before you could prevent me from playing my deck. That's just the worst state that Standard can get in right now. So just, that's the context of everything that's happening and the history of Wizards falling flat on their face trying to scramble to make something or fix something in Arena. So now that we have that set up and you just got that rolling around in your mind and you get where I'm coming from, let's look at the changes they made, because I think this is the perfect time to jump into that, and then I'm going to circle back to more details about Alchemy at the end. So first up, we got Alrune's Epiphany. Hey! Because extra turns isn't the problem, it's Foretell costing 6 instead of 7. That's the problem. Now remember, my solution to this was blah, 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 everything on the card, then take 10 damage. You want to talk about a trade-off? So now, on the new version, the Foretell cost is exactly the same as the casting cost. What the hell is that gonna do? What was even the point of that? Oh, and now that foretell is the exact same cost as just casting it. Now you only get the 2 birds if you foretold it. So they made a turns deck take 1 longer turn because they have to spend the mana then wait a turn? I mean, yeah, okay, the spell costs 9 total now because you have to pay 2 to foretell it and then 7 to cast it, but you think they don't have it? What does this solve? This does nothing. Do you think 1 turn earlier when we've got like treasure dump and the level of control they're running is going to make 1 damn ounce of difference? Because it ain't. It's still the same amount of bird tokens. Bare minimum, I would have taken 1 off. But they're just going to win with a haste dragon or a manland anyway. So it's like the whole deck needs to go. You just need to gut the deck. And I mean, would it work without turns? Yes, because it's called the stupid Dragon Treasure Rush deck. Or just, I mean, who cares about turns? Like I said, some people aren't even dicking around with turns. It's just manlands. They're going to have to ban probably Lier and at least probably Faceless to solve the Exalted problem. And then also the Hall of the Storm Giant or whatever the hell it is. Get rid of that too. And then probably also Alrund's Epiphany and the other new turns card too. I mean, that'd be like 3 decks with 1 ban announcement. So, I mean, but I'd be fine with that. They just would never do a ban announcement that big. So instead of like getting on your big boy pants and saying, fine, we screwed up, we're going to ban like 10 cards. And remember, this is coming from the people who still to this day have not banned Scoot Swarm. They're like, no. Let's just invent an entirely new version of Standard. That's easier. I mean, I get the strategy of, okay, we don't know what we're doing to the point, and we mismanage Standard to the point where we just need one where we have an excuse to change it every week. We'll do like a weekly update to the cards or whatever. Which, by the way, is just a thinly veiled scam to sell you more decks. Because if you got this crazy tier 1 deck that's clearly broken, you're like, well, it's going to be 6 months before they react to this with a ban. I'll be fine. I can keep playing this. I'm going to invest my time, money, effort, and wild cards into this. And then now in this new Alchemy format, it's like, no, a week later, they just nerfed your card by like 1 or 2 mana, and now your deck's not competitive. I get that the idea is to make it really subtle, where they want to take like a 55% win rate and drop it to like a 51% win rate. And they could do that, but this is the same people who already design cards and manage the ban list. So they're incapable of doing anything with subtlety or proper math or planning. Because if they were capable of that, they wouldn't have to wait until, as they themselves stated, 2 weeks after release to start making corrections, which is their intention. They would fix it during playtesting before the cards come out. So if in addition to tweaking cards, they're going to aggressively ban stuff on top of it, and they just don't want to say that yet because people might react poorly to that, okay, cool, but 1, that's not what it looks like, and 2, holy shit are the net decking whales who just buy whatever the internet tells them to, no matter what the cost is, because they're addicted to winning and don't even know what fun gameplay is. They are going to lose their minds where they build a deck, a week later it's gone. Build a deck, a week later it's gone. Build a completely different deck, different color, different everything, burn 50 wild cards on it and $200 worth of packs to get the wild cards, and then boom, they nerf that, they'll just quit. They're going to drive away their number 1 customers. So I think people are smart enough because Magic players are just generally above average in intelligence. And, you know, we're on like fool me not even twice Wizards. We're on like fool me 15 times. Wizards has gone full boy who cried wolf at this point. So quite honestly, we as a community are not going to fall for anything. And this looks like shit. And everybody on Twitter says it looks like shit. And everybody on Reddit says it looks like shit. And those are the 2 most Wizards ass kissing, hyper moderated, you know, fascistically moderated crazy places. If they've turned on this format already and they're like, I'm not going to play this crap, I'm boycotting it because they clearly are not going the right direction and we don't want a higher power level and they're not fixing anything, then yeah, quite honestly, us as a community are not going to fall for this crap. It's just that simple. So that's just another little bit that I want to say about this from a high level, but let's move on here. Next up, we got Cosmos Elixir. And when I saw that this was tweaked, I'm like, I mean, it wouldn't even be in my top 20, but sure. I do think that at a fundamental level, if Standard were to be rewritten to be at a comfortable power level, for my opinion, yeah, this goes too far, but like what tier 1 deck runs this? Well, spoiler alert, they upgraded it. They want more people to play this after coming off of the disastrous 1.5 years or so of Shadow Spear, where they gave every single color unlimited life gain and trample for 1. So this is colorless, but it costs 4. And if you think this is going to save you from a losing board state, you're out of your damn mind. It's too slow. So everything is the same, but they added and Scry 1 to the end. So that's an upgrade, right? You get more stuff out of it. Is it though? I mean, yes, but there's more to it than you see here. This card makes the game drag on so endlessly because you either get like more and more and more and more and more life undoing whatever damage they just did to you. Or if you're high enough, you just get extra cards that you can use to probably screw with your opponent some more, jam up the board state, and do things other than win the game. Because you might think, oh, by the time this goes off, you're outdrawing your opponent 2-1, and they might as well just forfeit because you're going to win, because you're just overpowering them with card draw. Well, there's so many sources of card advantage right now that no. Really, you're both just going to draw crazy stuff, and there's too many board wipes legal, too much control in general, so it all just kind of totals up to, crap, the game's going to go on for another 10 minutes just because 1 or 2 or 3 of these are in play. So, I mean, patch number 1, I would have added Legendary. Patch number 2, I would have shortened it to a 3 cost, but made one of the costs white. And I mean, I could go on, but what I think is the Scry 1 is to get you to cards you actually need instead of, oh, look, I drew another land. Oh, well, okay, well, pass turn. It's like, if you're going to win because Cosmos Elixir is in play, then win because it's in play. This is like literally the Scry 1 is to get you to cards you actually need instead of wasting everyone's time. So it's an upgrade, but it's also like a fix to the card for the benefit of both you and your opponent. Kind of. I mean, if your opponent knows they already lost because you've got like 3 of these in play, but you just keep pulling irrelevant bullshit that you don't need, yeah, I could see it. So this one, very questionable that this was a priority. There are at least 20 other cards I need to take a look at. Like, I mean, Moon Dancer or Innkeeper. Something about those two, or Scoot Swarm. I'd even settle for that, but that's clearly not the problem. I mean, that needs to be banned because it needs to be banned. But like, yeah, Prosperous Innkeeper and like Cleric Class and Moon Dancer, between those 3, something needs to be done. If anything, I would make it a priority to remove the Scry effect from Moon Dancer, not add Scry to Cosmos. That's ridiculous. So next up, Demi-Lich. I assure you, I'm not kidding. They felt the need to change Demi-Lich. I haven't actually read this one yet. I'm going to guess this is an upgrade because the last person I saw playing this was me, and before that, I've only ever seen 2 people playing this ever. And it was, I think, like pre-rotation but post-rotation because it was the early rotation format. And then all this is it boosting spell cloning crap came out and now nobody plays this. Because you don't need to, Lier took its place. So if they upgrade this, now you got this and Lier, which is ridiculous. And then you got that stupid, the flying dragon thing that keeps casting spells out of your graveyard too. I mean, we don't need 3 people doing it, that's for damn sure. All right, well, I mean, the first thing before I even read it is they made it a 4-3 instead of 4-4, as if that makes any ounce of difference. And yeah, that's all they changed. I just checked it twice. Unless I missed some subtle little wording thing, it looks to me like that's all they changed. So they took a card that nobody plays and made it weaker. I'm just going to assume I'm completely at a loss for any logic here because these changes apply to Historic, which I don't currently play. This could be the number 1 card in Historic for all I know. I would not know. Moving on. Warning, you're about to punch your screen or throw your phone at the stranger sitting next to you on the bus. Essica's Chariot got changed. Oh, thank God. It's about time this menace was gone. I mean, remember when all the community wanted was Extra Turn Boy gone and the cat cart gone? And Wizard said on both counts, F you. We're gonna do nothing, go play Alchemy. Ban announcements in Standard, what's that? Go spend more money on this shit format we're inventing in a couple months, which we're going to equally or to a worse degree mismanage. Good luck, everybody. I mean, I'm paraphrasing what they directly wrote. If you very heavily read between the lines. It's still a 4-drop, it's still 4-4, but they made it crew 2 instead of 4. What the f*** were they thinking? But this, it says create 1 cat token instead of 2. Oh, that fixed it. Did you notice that the cats are 2/2s and instead of getting 4 crew worth of cat, you only get half that, but then they made the crew go down to match it? That's called an upgrade, okay? That's called doing absolutely nothing. Now, yeah, the cats would crowd pretty quick and they would like teleportation circle flicker this if you haven't had the absolute just sheer ecstasy of playing against that shit pile of a deck. I haven't seen it in a while, but my God. In fact, you know what? That's not even the exception to the rule. That's not even the side story. That's not even my own personal anecdote. I think that's why they did this. I think that this fix has nothing to do with the stupid Ren and 7, broken token, overpowered Reachmobile shit deck that also runs usually Lolth because all my creatures have reach. Yeah, seriously, that black-green deck needs to go straight back to hell, and if they think this fixes it, they're out of their damn minds. So this had nothing to do with that. This was about teleportation circle, where you couldn't just, oh, flicker it and get 2 cats, flicker it and get 2 cats. Now, when you endlessly flicker it for 0 mana and no, detriment whatsoever with an almost impossible to remove enchantment, instead you only get 1 cat and then a giant broken 11/11 with reach that's guarding Lulth, plus 2 menace spiders. But I will say, I mean, the most urgent thing about Esika's Chariot the last couple times I saw it in any deck is that they have too damn much attack power and I can't do anything about it. So yeah, 1 less cat, okay, cool, but nothing about this card was solved with this change. All you need to do is either ban Teleportation Circle, which is the one I wanted gone, or ban this, or ban Ren and 7, which is the one I wanted gone. So, I mean, keep the cart for all I give a shit. How often do you have a worthwhile token that is worth cloning? But they could have just like solved the whole thing by just making it not clone a token. But then, I mean, it might as well not even exist. Like a 4/4 vehicle in green for 4 that just brings out cats 1 time and then doesn't do anything. Like nobody would play it. At that point, they might as well just ban the damn card, which, yeah, I mean, if they could ban all 3, I won't give a shit. It's just I'm sick of playing against this crap. It's not like, oh, here's exactly how to solve it, Wizards. It's, I don't want to play against this shit. Ban it, Wizards. I don't care what you do. Ban whatever you have to ban to make me not have to experience this shit gameplay anymore. It's your job. Fucking do it. And you clearly slipped up the first time by, letting this through playtesting. So, like I said, put on your big boy pants and say, okay, we made a mistake. We're banning this. And in fact, if you're going to do it, if you're going to rip the Band-Aid off and be like, okay, we're banning like 5-10 cards, okay? Power level's too high, a bunch of stuff's working together, we're just going to, we're going to do a big old reset, which people would applaud, okay? I don't know why they think anything different would happen. They act like every ban announcement they come out and like offend my great ancestors and I'm going to show up with a pitchfork and a torch. No, every time you try to fix standard, I'm happy with it. I mean, usually not anymore because you guys keep banning the wrong cards or banning nothing. Never forget Emrakul, the scapegoat, who took one for the team instead of Aetherworks Marvel. Or the Saheeli Cat combo, which they said they're specifically not banning, that I believe 2 days later had an emergency ban announcement out of cycle to announce that they're banning it. With, quote, new information they had just gathered. Now, I think the new information was 1,000 people online saying, F you. That's the information I gathered. So yeah, this whole fundamental idea of alchemy and like we're going to tweak these cards and it'll make everything okay. All they do is take all of tier 1 and try to like kind of level it out and then take a couple like almost tier 1 or former tier 1 decks and shoot them back into tier 1 with upgrades. Now what they're fundamentally missing here is nobody wants any of those decks in tier 1 in the first place, for at least half of them, because they're just toxic control-a-thon shit. And, good riddance to the ones in the past that people are happy to see gone. So they've been focusing, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, on deck diversity. They just looked at, people don't want to play against the same decks over and over and over. So as long as there's, 6 to 8 competitive decks in Standard, they call that a success. They don't seem to have any concept of like the level of fun or enjoyment or like enjoyable gameplay or like approachability or complexity or first impression from new people, because there's always people leaving the game. You need the same number or more to join the game, and if you show somebody the current state of Standard right now, they are not going to play Magic the Gathering, period. So they just forgot about all that, and they're like, the only thing that matters is a diverse meta. It doesn't matter what those pieces are. It could be 6 abusive shit decks and 2 that are just overpowered and need a nerf, but that's fine. Could be a board wipe shit show deck and a turns deck and all that, but as long as there's diversity, it's fine. To call that the wrong philosophy at an absolute fundamental level is an understatement, but they're that fucking stupid. There's no 2 ways about it. There's not, I have a theory. I mean, I guess if I were to elaborate, they hired a bunch of ex-pro players who don't give a shit about the enjoyability or fun level of the deck. They played for money and for ranking, and all they care about is numbers and stats, and they don't care if their opponent's having fun, because if their opponent's not having fun, good, it'll probably throw them off, and they can win, 25 grand in prize money easier. They are so out of touch with the majority of the community, anyone from F&M on down to absolute casuals, that they just design shit that would look kind of cool at a tournament, and that's it. And that's all they hire is ex-pro players and ex-judges. And they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what we want. They're clueless. That is what's wrong with Wizards of the Coast in the last couple of years. That and no accountability is allowed. And if you bring it up, you will be fired, according to ex-employees, of any long time, I've been here for 10, 15, 20 years employees making mistakes. You can't bring that up. Like if you say, hey, Mark, this looks an awful lot like a mistake you made 8 years ago. Why are you doing it again? Pff, fired. totally shut down, suspended. I've heard stories. So if you're like, how do people who have this much experience, have been there that long and made that many mistakes, keep making the same mistakes? It's because nobody's allowed to check them on it. They have that big of egos. So anyway, moving on to the next one, we've got Omnath, Locus of Creation, who is going to be unbanned in Alchemy, I think. Because when they said unban, I can't find the statement, but I didn't realize it's banned in Standard and Brawl and Historic right now. Just let that sink in. So they thought it was a good idea to dig this piece of shit back up, but I'm not sure if it'll be legal in Alchemy or it will only be unbanned in Historic. Because remember, these tweaked cards apply to Historic, because Historic is now Alchemy. Well, okay, not Historic is Alchemy. Alchemy is modified Standard, but it's alchemized. Aha, that's the word. Anything that's done in Alchemy drips down to Historic, so Historic has officially been alchemified. Trying to fix Historic actually is really similar to trying to turn lead into gold. It's about the same difficulty level in my opinion, so they better not unban this horseshit in Standard. But yeah, I mean, they added 1 to its casting cost, which actually is extremely significant. Also, you no longer get to draw a card on ETB, you only get to scry 1, which is extremely significant, because that was almost entirely the problem that resulted in it getting banned. I mean, hell, this guy was in like 2 of my decks, okay? You make it cost 5 and get rid of the card draw, I'm not running the deck and I'm not running him. So I guess they fixed it, but they also fixed it when they banned him. Why do we need this back? Why do we want Landfall back in? I mean, the last remnants of overpowered Landfall shit, Scoot Swarm and all the other enchantments, they've still got remnants in Standard Constructed, and I heard they're a nightmare in Historic. Why are they like, I know what would help, Omnath? I mean, you already pissed off the people running it. Now I guess they want to flip it and piss off the people who are happy that it was banned so that they just piss off everybody across the board. Just get rid of Landfall. Okay, the only time you did Landfall correctly was Origins. That was it. It was appropriately powered. I mean, to really get it cranking and out of control, you had to use like Sword of the Animist, a bunch of other shit that cost more than like 2. Now it's make everything bigger permanently and have a free cat. Like, come on. We need to move on from Landfall. They ruined one of my favorite mechanics of all time. And then they also ruined Devotion, my other favorite mechanic of all time. I can't wait till they bring back Bestow and then ruin that. Oh, wait, they did. It was called Mutate. 3 for 3. That's impressive. Oh my God, come to think of it, they ruined Threshold too. I gotta make a top 10 because I think they hit all 10. So anyway, yeah, the first, second, third crap, all the Landfall effect, they kept that the same. Really, that in itself was problematic too. But I guess if he's harder to get out and you don't get a card off it, because the card would usually lead to land fetching or direct land dump, like as in onto the battlefield. That's what I call land dump. Like that was the problem. So I guess, yeah, sure, leave it at Landfall. But if you manage to pull all this off, boy, the next turn you're gonna light it up. But then I guess they could blow him up by then. So I guess they thought this was appropriate to bring him back. I just wouldn't have risked it. It's anything that's already banned, just move on. There's no reason to be like, let's play around with bringing it back. You've already did the ban announcement, which they seem to think pisses off everybody in the community, even though it's just a bunch of loud, obnoxious, net decking, greedy, entitled assholes, over-representing their numbers in the community by just being louder and ruder on the internet. But like, you already dropped the nuke. Let's not go anywhere near that radioactive crater. Let's just move on. I don't get why they're dicking around with this. It's so stupid. Except I do. It's deck diversity. Everything in the name of deck diversity. So they took this tier 1 plus deck. In other words, it was too powerful for tier 1. And they just, bye Omnath, goodbye. And then they're like, well, okay, deck diversity. I bet we could resurrect this deck, but we'll do it right this time by tweaking it a little tiny bit. That is like the definition of playing with fire. Very, very stupid. Speaking of that, the last card we know about that they changed, Wizard class. Still just an absolute bullshit, turns enabling, is it spell spamming, pseudo storm horseshit card, but now it's more playable because they dropped level 3 to 3 instead of 5. This is like so gradual and slow and so much of a mana sink already that even people playing turns, dragons, or other assorted treasure boosted shit, like I said, spell spamming, flashback, resurrection spell count, pseudo stormed, the whole just Izzet. I'm just gonna call it all the Izzet family. All those shockingly similar deck archetypes, all of them have pretty much dropped this card because they're so powerful they don't need it. And so they're like, it would be fun, let's make this more playable and have them boost it. So now they can turn their man land into a land and then get free counters on it for refueling their number of counter spells and board wipes and bounce cards. Who the thought this was a good idea? And by the way, if now that we covered the last card, you're like, oh my god, this is so crazy, he thinks everything's OP. For the last about 4 years that I've been complaining about the power level of Standard, it turns out they finally took a survey and proved that the overwhelming majority of the community agrees with me. But at this point, if you're going to say that my read on Alchemy is wrong, when I have such a ridiculously long history of being right and the only people that disagree with me tend to be the pro players and the type of people that Wizards like hires to design this shit. So yeah, I get it. We fundamentally disagree about how the game should be managed and what fun and enjoyability is. Cool, let's agree to disagree. Just know how far into the minority you are if you're going to be like, oh, this is crazy. Look, you know what I want removed from Standard? At a bare minimum to make it comfortable to play and back down to a reasonable power level, Waking of the Trolls, Scoot Swarm, Westgate Region, Terror Grid, Prosperous Innkeeper, or Moon Dancer, whatever the hell her name is, Elvish War Master, because my god, have you seen my deck? Spirit of the Elder Guard, Teleportation Circle, Zerasan, Vorinclex, Skeletal Swarming, Delina, don't forget about that bitch, Avalanche Color, Hobgoblin Bandit Lord, Angel of Destiny, Book of Exalted Deeds, Righteous Valkyrie, Sleep, Hall of the Storm Giants, and a couple others I already mentioned. If you're like, no, they're all fine, all those are fun cards, I can't help you. Just stop hate watching my content and get off my channel. All comments are held for review, so if you're going to leave some dumbass comment about, oh, you're an idiot, herder, nobody's going to see it, and soon nobody's going to see anything you post, because it's a shadow ban. And 2.1% of the unique viewers on my channel are now currently banned. That's 3,000 people, but I run a big channel. And if you think 2.1% of the Magic community isn't toxic assholes who need to be given a mute button, then wow. I mean, I knew if you're the type of person I'm talking about, you don't know what the hell you're talking about and you're kind of out of touch, but my god, like that's a whole new level. So if you're so adamant that you disagree with me and hate everything I upload and whatever, then stop watching my channel. How about that? YouTube keeps recommending it. 1, hit the little 3 dots and click stop recommending this channel, but also 2, you clicked on the video, you dumbass. We're 26.5 minutes into the fucking video. If you're actually hearing this message and you're deeply offended by it and you're gonna leave a butthurt comment, what the actual hell is wrong with you? Go spend your time doing anything else, you miserable psychopath. But if you did make it this far in the video and you're like, yeah, you make some good points and I like the way you present the news and I like your video and I like your reviews on stuff, then, you know, leave a like and subscribe. You'll be in the other 98% of people with their heads screwed on straight. Yes, people still don't like me from like 7 years ago when I purposely just antagonized net deckers in the pro community because they were ruining the game, still are. I don't give a shit, and SJWs and liberals, oh, I'm pretty sure I go out of my way to antagonize them in case you didn't notice. So if you're jumping on the bandwagon of, oh, everybody hates Desolator Magic, so I'm gonna join in, you're on the wrong community, and I hate to be this douchebag, but just to prove my point, sub count, channel size and age, average thumbs up percentage, like look at anything, okay? You explain how I exist. I'd love to hear it. But you're probably already shadow banned from the comment section, so just do everybody a favor and just f*** off. Oh, and go play Alchemy. If you're so adamant, it'll be great. Go sign up. Go put $100 into it. For the rest of you, you're now a little bit more better informed because, you know, I wanted to make a long form thing because this is like really, really important. This isn't like, oh, Mark Rosewater dyed his hair or something. Oh, let's talk about that for 30 minutes. This is like, hey, they're creating an entirely new format. If anything, this should be an hour-long documentary breaking down every part of it, but I think I sufficiently covered it so far. And there's going to be more news about it, of course, in the future as we learn more about it. I might force myself to jump in and kind of try it so that I could report on how it goes. It's like, why do people on YouTube eat hot peppers and then say, oh, what do you think happened? Look, I'm a YouTuber, okay? Like, occasionally, YouTubers need to pre-order the Call of Duty game that they know is going to be shit so that they can play it, get some gameplay, and then 3 days later tell you it's shit, okay? Doesn't mean I'm supporting it. So if you see it in the background or I make a video on it, don't be like, hey, I thought you didn't want to play that. It's literally my job. But as for you guys, I would not check it out. No. And in fact, we need to send Wizards a message. And that message is just fix Standard instead of moving on to something more expensive where you're trying to sell us more shit, okay? I mean, really, anytime they do anything or announce anything, just reply with just fix Standard. Just ban cards until Standard is at an appropriate power level. If that's our central, common, repetitive messaging, they're going to get the point eventually, or they're not going to have a game left. So if you want to actually be constructive instead of just complaining about stuff on the internet, like get out there and tell them this stuff. Take the surveys when they send out the survey links. Tell them what you don't like, because all they hear from is, you know, net deck and douchebags and pro wannabes, and that's why the game is what it is. Tell them the formats are too fragmented, stupid, and overpowered. Tell them that the matchmaking riggage is shit on Arena. I mean, like, tell them these things that you're not happy about. Don't just be like, the game's gonna die anyway, I'll just play it till it dies, or I'll play casual, I'll just avoid it, okay? How'd that work for Hitler? Just, here's this giant, huge problem that is a clear and obvious solution, which is tell Hitler to stop. And every other country is like, it'll be easier if I just take the laser out and just appease him and just, not my country, not my problem. Well, when it comes to your doorstep and he starts invading all of Europe, tries to take over the world, now it is your problem. Like 20, 30 million dead people later, yeah, we should have probably gotten into his business and did something about this instead of just, I'll work on my own shit. It's just like critical race theory taught in the schools. I'll just pull my kids out. Your kids are going to grow up trying to work with absolute brainwashed lunatics then 10 years from now, so take the tougher route, go to the school board meetings and start threatening their jobs. Just saying. That's why I'm so like up in Wizards shit. Instead of just, I'll make this a flesh and blood channel. No, I'm not running away. I'm fixing the stuff. They ruined the game I love. I'm going to fix it. When they announce something that's complete shit, I'm going to tell them about it. I'm going to tell you guys about why it's shit. And if you agree with me, great. If you don't, whatever. But that we just get more people. And now at this point, after me and a bunch of creators that are on the honesty level roughly on par with me, we've been just the same messaging for year after year after year after year. And now Wizards can't so much as tweet out a picture of a cat without people just roasting them over the last 10 mistakes they made. And that's how it should be. As long as you do it politely and constructively. You are actively helping fix the problem and fix the game and get it back to a state that we're happy with. So it's actually doing something. It's not just, I'm on the internet complaining. So that's why my content is the way it is. And of course, I'm throwing this in at the end because I got a lot of new people on my channel lately, according to the stats. So, well, welcome in. Here's how I do things. And stick around if you like it or f*** off if you don't. And on that happy note, thanks for watching, everybody. And I'll see you guys next video.